The last shift, the disappearance of Emily Hartley. There's no way she just vanished. Someone knows what happened to Emily. That's what Claire Morrison told police. 2 days after her best friend, Emily Hartley, failed to show up for work. In a small town like Ashbrook, North Carolina, people don't just disappear. But when this young nurse vanished without a trace after her night shift, what began as a missing person case would unravel into something far darker. And the truth was hiding in plain sight. Emily Hartley was the kind of person everyone in Ashbrook knew, not because she was loud or flashy, but because she was kind. At 28, she had soft sea glass eyes, warm smiles, and the quiet confidence of someone who cared deeply. She worked the night shift at Pine Grove Regional Hospital. Dedicated, gentle, the kind of nurse patients remember fondly. After nursing school in Raleigh, she moved back home to care for her terminally ill mother. Even after her mother passed, she stayed. She said Ashbrook was home. She also had someone there, Colin Bryant. Colin was a town mechanic, tall, quiet, polite in that reserved, southern way. He and Emily had dated off and on for 4 years. To most, they looked like a stable couple. But behind closed doors, Emily's journal would later reveal something much darker. Friday, October 18th, 2024. Emily finished her shift around 7 a.m. She waved goodbye to the security guard, joked with janitor in the hallway, then walked to her silver Honda Civic. That was the last confirmed sighting of her. By Saturday morning, alarm bells were ringing. She missed her best friend's birthday brunch, didn't answer texts. Her dog Daisy, her beloved Labrador, hadn't been fed. Claire, her best friend, called Colin. He claimed he hadn't seen Emily since Wednesday. They had a fight, he said. She probably just needed space. But Claire wasn't buying it. Emily didn't need space like that. She wouldn't vanish, leave her dog, ignore her responsibilities. Something was very wrong. When police entered Emily's cottage on Sunday, everything looked eerily normal. Coffee cup half full on the kitchen table. Bed unmade. No signs of forced entry. Her car was gone. So was her phone and purse. But the silence? It was deafening. Detective Alan Mercer took over the case. A 19-year veteran of Ashbrook PD, he trusted his gut, and his gut told him this wasn't just a missing person. It was foul play. Emily's silver Civic was found 2 days later, abandoned beside a remote logging road, 12 miles outside town. Locked. No blood. No purse. No phone. Clean. Too clean. But tucked deep between the seat cushions was a crumpled cigarette pack. Emily didn't smoke. The prints were partial, but one matched someone in the system. Shane Kessler, an ex-con from 2 towns over. Assault. Burglary. Sketchy past. When they brought him in, he claimed he'd hitched a ride in a woman's car weeks ago. Maybe dropped the pack then. But there was no link between him and Emily. No evidence. No warrant. Police had to let him go. 2 weeks passed. No leads. Then Claire told detectives about Emily's journal. A slim black moleskine notebook, stashed in a drawer under a false bottom. Not a diary. Exactly, more like a confessional. And it pulled back the curtain. Sometimes I'm afraid of him. Not in a bruised ribs kind of way. Just the way he watches me when I sleep. The questions. The accusations. I think he checks my phone when I shower. Love shouldn't feel like surveillance. She never named him. But detectives had their suspicions. They brought Colin back in for questioning. His calm demeanor cracked. He admitted they'd argued. Emily had told him she wanted space, maybe to leave Ashbrook altogether. She said I was too intense, he said, that I didn't respect her boundaries. But that's not a crime. No, it wasn't. But his alibi for the morning Emily vanished? He didn't have one. He said he was asleep. On November 6th, nearly 3 weeks after Emily went missing, 2 fishermen spotted something in the Coldwater River, tangled in driftwood. It was a purse. Inside, Emily's ID, her hospital badge, and her phone. When police retrieved GPS data from her phone, it told a chilling story. Between 7:15 and 9:02 a.m. on the day she vanished, Emily's phone was in motion, northbound, toward the Coldwater River. Detectives believed she never made it home. She was taken, possibly straight from the hospital parking lot. Search teams were deployed. Dogs, divers, drones. For days later, her body was found, half buried under brush along the riverbank, still in her scrubs. The autopsy revealed blunt force trauma to the head. She fought back, defensive wounds on her arms and hands. But she didn't survive. This was no accident. This was murder. Detectives combed over her car again, and this time they found something new. A faint chip in the paint, a smudge on the passenger window. Lipstick. Emily rarely wore lipstick, but Claire did, and so did Jessie Monroe. Jessie had briefly worked as a receptionist at the hospital. She was fired for being late too often, and she had history with Colin. They dated briefly during one of his and Emily's breaks. Claire had heard the rumors, but brushed them off. Now she wasn't so sure. Police interviewed Jessie. She was defensive, claimed she hadn't seen Colin in months. But her phone records told another story. She'd texted Colin 7 times a week before Emily disappeared. And the night before Emily vanished, she'd sent a message. Still on for tomorrow? Colin had deleted that thread from his phone. Detectives secured a search warrant for his property. In the trunk of an old Jeep in his garage, they found a blood-stained tarp. DNA matched Emily's. Colin was arrested and brought in again. Faced with the evidence, he confessed. But his version wasn't the truth. He claimed Emily had come over that morning to talk things through, that they argued, and she slipped, hit her head on a toolbox. Panicked, he said he wrapped her in the tarp, drove her to the river, dumped the body, and staged her car. But the autopsy didn't back that up. Her injuries weren't consistent with a fall. They were consistent with a single, forceful blow, deliberate and deadly. Colin Bryant was charged with second-degree murder. Jessie Monroe was charged as an accessory. She had helped dispose of the purse and tried to clean the Jeep. The trial began in August of 2025. The courtroom was full. Ashbrook had come to see the truth for themselves. The prosecution painted Colin as a controlling man who couldn't accept being left. The defense argued it was a crime of passion, but the jury didn't buy it. After 5 days of deliberation, the verdict was in: guilty. Colin was sentenced to 35 years. Jessie got 5 for obstruction and evidence tampering. Ashbrook would never be the same. The town held vigils, grief counseling sessions, even town hall meetings. The hospital created a scholarship in Emily's name for nurses who show compassion and resilience. Claire still visits her grave every month. On the headstone is a quote from Emily's journal: "Love shouldn't feel like surveillance." Her story began in silence, wrapped in normalcy, and ended in tragedy. But the message it left behind speaks louder than ever. Trust your gut. Notice the red flags. Because even in small towns, darkness can live just beneath the surface. If you found this story gripping, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell, so you'll be the first to know when we upload more chilling true crime stories like this one.